What is going on, everyone? Casey here, Virginia Game Day, checking in after a long break. We haven't checked in since the Christian Holenka interview about last year's college World Series run. Was in Maui for a week and a half. It was really, really cool. And now we're back to get through this upcoming weekend's regional. We're not hosting, unfortunately, but we do have a job to do down in Greenville, and we still should be grateful that we have the opportunity. A little bit about Maui. So we stayed in a place called Kihei, which was by design. When you have the choice of 5 or 6 towns to stay in Maui, and one of them is Kihei, you can't not take advantage of that. In doing some research, it was where our legendary point guard Kihei Clark's parents first met. Kihei's dad played basketball down in Hawaii. His mom is from there or grew up there, and that's where they met. And yeah, he's got a good following in Hawaii, I've heard. So that was one cool thing. I didn't get any. I wore pretty much UVA gear throughout, and I didn't get any Go Who's down there. But when I was in LAX on the way home, there was a guy who was on our plane who, showed some love. So that's really cool. And Hawaii has that big UVA connection. Well, several, I guess. Wayne Talapapa, Hawaiian guy. Many guys from the Bronco era were from down there, and on this year's team as well. Maui. So there's that. Plus, the biggest upset in the history of the world, of course, the 1982 Chaminade over Virginia, Buster Douglas over Mike Tyson-esque upset there, where only a few people saw it, and it was probably in the middle of the night, but it happened, and it took a little bit for it to reverberate into the States, but it did. Legend has it, only one national reporter was there, and it was Michael Wilbon. He's down there covering Maryland in the Aloha Bowl, and he was able to, go check out the game, see Ralph up in person, and see this team called Chaminade. They're supposed to play Hawaii. I've done a lot of research on this while I was down there. They're supposed to play Hawaii, but something happened, and Chaminade was a fill-in. And ironically, they were supposed to change their name to the University of Honolulu in the next, coming months. You know how colleges are, they, rebranding, whatever. But because they beat UVA and their name was ringing in the streets, they kept Chaminade, and now it's a household name. A lot of really interesting stuff about that game. UVA, of course, was the top ranked team. Won 8 straight games. Won the game of the century against Patrick Ewing and Georgetown not too long before, a couple of weeks before. Then they go and get the upset of the century. They had been in Japan, where they played Utah, the Utes, and Phi Slamma Jamma, and beat them both. So they're 8-0 going into the game against Chaminade, and Chaminade just straight up beat them. It wasn't like they were doing the 4 corners offense, or they straight up beat them. And basketball is different than baseball. Like a good junior college team can beat a D1 team if they have a good pitcher going, and some things go their way. In basketball, a JUCO team's not going to beat a Division I team, or an NAIA team usually isn't going to be the best team in the country. Like, look how much shit UVA got for losing to UMBC. That's another Division I school. Their guys are on scholarship. This is an NAIA team, not Division I, not Division II, not Division III. And there's ballers at NAIA schools and JUCO and all that. I played JUCO, but it's just like, who would have ever thought? And I'm sure that played into why UVA was upset. You're going in and you just got done playing Akeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler, and now you're playing these dudes who don't have anyone above 6'6" on the floor. So, referring to my notes here a little bit, score was tied at 43 at halftime. In the second half, it appeared Virginia might win easily after it took a 7-point lead, but Chaminade took a 70-68 lead with 137 left and never trailed again. Virginia had 25 turnovers. You know, I always have the 10 turnover rule with Tony Bennett's team, so 25, forget about it. And they only shot 39%. Yeah, 77-72. Chaminade 77, Virginia 72. Quote from Ralph Sampson. All our players had played their hearts out in Tokyo, Sampson said, then relaxed too much when they got to Honolulu. They went to the beach, got a suntan, got healthy. There was a situation where we just weren't ready to play. Chris Berman and Tom Meese, who hosted SportsCenter, thought it was a mistake. Then the score was confirmed again. We can't tell you what happened, but the number one team in college basketball has lost to, we don't even know who they are. Pretty crazy. And that, when I was down there, we went to the Maui Invitational Arena, you know, pulled up, got my camera out. There was a dude outside in the golf cart. I was like, hey, you mind if I go shoot some shots at the arena? I'm like, yeah. Walked right up in there, got some pictures. You know, you see all the banners of the former champions and like a Maui Invitational, you know, mural on the wall. It was awesome. And the last couple of years, it hasn't been down there because of COVID and all that. But from what I've read, the plan is to be back there this year. And that never would have happened without the Chaminade upset. That was the whole that got the ball rolling. Yeah, Virginia was in the first ever Maui Invitational field. I think that's fitting. And then they've been in it a few times, including during Tony Bennett's one of his first years. And there's a video on YouTube that I watched where Tony Bennett says that he vacationed in Maui or honeymooned in Maui. So he's got a special spot in his heart for the place.
This is one of the most breathtaking places. I had my honeymoon here 15 years ago at the Grand YLA, which is a few miles down, so that's brought back some memories. But
Virginia was a runner-up in the Maui Invitational in 1996, lost to Kansas in the championship. Runner-up in 2002, lost to Indiana in the championship. And then they did play Chaminade again in 2002 and actually got their revenge on the Silver Swords, beating them by 10. Wild stuff. Another thing, Chaminade beat them, right? And they were the number one team at the time. They knocked them out of the number one spot, and they wouldn't be the number one seed again until 2018 with Kagai and them, which they eventually lost to UMBC that year. So all that time, but never ranked number one. Chaminade lost to 2018. Crazy stuff. And like just really strange coincidences. Like there was the center on Chaminade had played against Ralph Sampson in Virginia. And rumor has it he dated his sister. One of the guys from the Chaminade team has like a big unsolved murder case. Like he was murdered, and it's a cold case down there. Pretty wild. It's a pretty wild story. It's definitely worth some reading if you want to go into it. There's tons to look into, and there's also a book. I haven't read the book, but it's definitely on my list. One more final quote before we get into new stuff. Okay. This is from 100 Things Virginia fans should know before they die. In 2013, Terry Holland wrote to the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame in support of efforts to elect the 1982 Chaminade team to the Hall of Fame. Chaminade's monumental upset of our number one ranked University of Virginia team was most significant in that it was not a fluke, Holland wrote. Chaminade was simply a good team standing toe-to-toe with one of college basketball's best teams. The Chaminade victory paved the way for the NCAA men's basketball committee to strongly consider allowing relatively unknown teams to compete for at-large bids. These at-large bids spawned a true national tournament and some truly exciting upsets on college basketball's largest stage. Chaminade's victory was therefore a catalyst that forced the world to acknowledge that parity had arrived at college basketball. All right. College baseball. It's time. It is time, and I'm juiced. I got my baseball from last year here. I'm feeling it. I'm getting the energy, letting the powers course through my veins, because last year, as you know, as Mr. Holinka talked to us a couple weeks ago about, they hit their stride at the right time, and then it was just such a magic run. This year, not quite the case. Have a losing record in the last since finals week. From finals week until now, they've been 4-5, and some of our best players have struggled. Most recently, with the final Louisville game and the 2 ACC tournament games, we've been outscored 27-6. But there's so many silver linings, and there's so much hope for this upcoming regional down in Greenville. Where do we start? Well, half the lineup was around last year. They were in the dugout. They saw what it took. Brian O'Connor mentioned it in his pre-regional press conference, and I'm sure if you're a fan, you're confident in that. Kyle Teal, Alex Tappan, Jake Elliff came on last year late. Devin Ortiz, Nate Savino, Brandon Neek, Matt Wyatt, coaching staff. We know what it takes. We saw what's got to go down. We just got to, hit that stride. We've had some time off. Coach mentioned like they had their most intense practices during the off time since before the season started. So playoff baseball is a whole different animal. You turn the page. It's a brand new season. Everyone's slate is wiped clean. We're healthy, so that's one thing. We got the experience. It's a clean slate. And we've had success in the past when we're not hosting the regional, when we're actually, a couple hours away. So Kyle Teal has really struggled lately, right? 3 for 32 since the finals, since exams week in the last 9 games. Chris Newell, 3 for 26 since then. They dropped Kyle Teal in the order. Newell has been kind of bouncing around. They're going to catch fire. Chris Newell is a MLB prospect, top 200 guy. That's what tends to happen when all the eyes are on him. When all the eyes are focused in, like last year, you start playing your best ball. Kyle Teal as well. He's going to be a prospect when he's next year going in. I think the timing is going to be right. I think the pitching staff, the bullpen is going to get back on track as well. Devin Ortiz is available. Coach said, which is big. He had that big outing last year in the postseason that lifted these guys. We have 2 guys at the top who are definitely going to start the first 2 games, Savino and Gursky. And then from there, we got a lot of options. The confidence in each option is a little bit different. Jake Berry, Ortiz is ready to go. I'd like to see Brandon Neek get a game. He had a wonderful outing last year. It was like 16 strikeouts or something. Matt Wyatt, Matt Wyatt had a great outing last year too, but he was injured, then he came back and he wasn't really getting it done. So I'm not sure where he's at, but I would love for him to be able to redeem himself. Neek had a pitch a clean inning in a Notre Dame game, so that's good to kind of get him back on the right path for the big games. Kasanovic and Woolfolk out of the bullpen have been good all year. Paul's got a 193 batting average against, and Jay Woolfolk's got a 207 batting average against. The time off is going to be great for them because they've been getting a ton of work. Every time I go to a game, it's Paul K and Jay Woolfolk out of the pen. So give them some rest. Let them get their bearings under them, and let's go play playoff baseball. And they gotta, every pitch matters in playoff baseball. And I think Virginia is the kind of program where it's pitching, defense, bloop and a blast, work counts, and discipline, essentially. Virginia is a team who I love. I like in the playoffs. Just from a makeup perspective, who they're facing. If you look at it from like a just you're telling them to your buddy at work or a guy in a bar, they might not think much of it. East Carolina, Coastal Carolina, Coppin State. Those aren't like big names that you've heard of in basketball or football, But in baseball, Coastal's got a national championship a couple years ago. East Carolina's won 18 games in a row. Coppin State, they're hot too. They had to win their tournament, so that's something. So just from a browse, from like a novice person, they might not think it's a big, tough division, but it's a tough division, a tough region. And like, make no mistake about it, Virginia's going to have to play well. They're going to have to play better than they've been. East Carolina's got two really good arms at the top. CJ Mayhew and Carter Spivey. The dudes were number 1 and 2 in the American Conference in ERA. Carter Spivey 7-0. I think he was the pitcher of the year in the conference. CJ Mayhew 4-1, and both have ERAs under 3. As a team, they're batting .281. They're hosting. They're red hot. They think they can play with anyone. It's our job to win on the margins, win every inning. We're the number 2 seed, and shouts to the Athletic for picking us to win the region. I forgot the guy's name, but big up yourself. Who else? Coastal Carolina won the Natty the year after UVA won their Natty. They got 2 guys in the MLB draft top 200, just like UVA. UVA's got Nate Savino at number 111 and Chris Newell at number 190. Coastal's got Eric Brown, their shortstop, 60th best prospect. And then Michael Knorr, their ace pitcher, number 175. So Coastal Carolina's got a 290 team batting average. And like East Carolina, 2 really good arms at the top. Knorr, who I mentioned, 2.81 ERA. And then Reed Van Scoter, who was the Sun Belt pitcher of the year, who had a 9-2 record with a 3.06 ERA. Just looking at that, I haven't seen either of these guys pitch. Just read the hype, read the stats. I'm hoping that we got the arms. We know we're gonna have to get some. We're gonna have to get somebody to step up. That's why, in my mind, I'm thinking like Brandon Neek. You got to. I need some really good innings out of him. I need to get dialed up that last year's magic. I don't know like I said, I don't know where we can be with the Wyatt situation is, but we've got great stuff when it's right. We're looking at our guys, and if you've watched us play ball this year, everyone in our pen that's been getting action, when they're right, when they're feeling good, can get guys out. It's just when you're leaving the ball up, when you're getting behind in the counts, then we're having trouble, and when we're getting overworked. So need our starters to go deep. Can't overwork the pen. Do it for the boys out there, and then we got to score runs. We haven't scored runs lately. Like I mentioned, the stats in the last few games, only scored 6 runs in the last 3 games. But we've had a million games this year where we've scored 10 plus. So we just got to be hitting the ball at the right time. Jake Geloff and Tap and Casey Saki have been red hot. Tap's got 14 hits since the exam break. Jake's got 12 hits. Tap had the big game in their last game, the 3-0 loss in Notre Dame. He went 3 for 4. So he's been locked in. Just like watching him compared to last year, I've probably said this 10 times already. Watching him compared to last year, it's like watching 2 different guys. He's like so locked in. Maybe it's just getting the at-bats. Casey Saki. Yeah. Big shouts to him and Griff O'Farrell for doing what they've done as first years. Saki's hitting 356. He had a 21-game hit streak at one point. Griff O'Farrell, shortstop, leadoff guy. He started every single game at short and led off every single game. And he hit 321. So that's huge. I mean, so hats off to them. Ethan Anderson, too, has really come on lately. in the DH spot, first base spot. I remember it was nice to see him get that home run where it bounced off the top of the wall, because I had read in the Daily Progress how guys were giving him shit about, not having the muscle to get it out there. So that was really cool. The second base platoon that we've had, trust both guys, love both guys. Both guys give you something different. Justin Rubin and Max Codier. Max, you're getting the experience of having been there last year and a little bit more speed, I would say. Max stole 6 bases this year. Justin, first year, both are great with the glove. Justin doesn't really strike out. 83 at bats, 7 strikeouts, 11 walks. He's got a 4.33 on base percentage compared to Max's 3.56 on base percentage. Neither of them a whole bunch of power, but what do you expect from the second base spot? 4.58 slugging for Justin and 3.15 slugging for Max. But both guys, Max hitting 270, Rubin's hitting 337. Neither of them are killing you. They're both, really solid players. So I'm not sure what they're going to go here. I'd expect to see probably Max first, see how he plays, go from there. Colin Tufton in their first year hit 292 this year. So tons of bats. They hit 311 as a team this year and had a 4.03 ERA as a team this year. The first game is against Coastal, and that's going to be on ESPN Plus at 6:00. Would love to see him stay in the winners bracket. And, who knows? Maybe we'll get a nice Coppin State over ECU upset. And we're sitting pretty going into the championship. It's possible. Just love to see them learn from the last few games. For a while there, the team looked immortal. And then we had some ups and downs. And then, it's been pretty crummy the last few games. So now I think that we had this time off, feeling healthy. We know that the pressure's off. I'd love to be at the games in Charlottesville, but the pressure's off of not having to host and, everything that comes with that and increased exposure, all that stuff. We're down there where it's all regimented, and I'm hopeful. I think they can come back and do the damn thing. Obviously, people are picking them to win. I like to see that. They got veterans who've been there. They got young guys who are hungry, young guys who are, really, really freaking good. And now's the time. I mean, this is when when college baseball gets the spotlight. Look at what happened with Big Donkey last year. This is when people are watching, scouts especially, national media. So I like our team. I like what we bring to the table. Love our guys. Tons of energy. The home run celebrations, the warm-up stuff. It's awesome. And now's the time. Virginia Game Day on Instagram, virginiagameday.com. Look out. We got a newsletter coming out. That's the next step. I appreciate everyone for checking us out. Slacky Brown Media on YouTube. That's where all of our videos are housed. So appreciate it, guys. Go Hoos.